I will start by saying this. I am not doing this because I want to. I am doing this because my therapist believes it could help. And maybe sharing it will allow me to make some sense of what happened. The truth is, I don't think I will ever truly understand it, but I have to talk about it at least once. This experience has haunted me ever since, and I am not sure what to do with it. I can still feel the terror, smell the rot in the air, and see the thing that waited for me in that room. My name is Sam, and I am 23. Up until last weekend, my life was pretty ordinary. Well, as ordinary as it gets for someone like me. I have always had a thing for abandoned places, old houses, decaying warehouses, forgotten factories. They had this strange pull on me, like they held stories that the world had forgotten. Bruce, my closest friend, would join me on these explorations. He wasn't as into it as I was, honestly. He hated the eerie stillness, the way the air seemed to thicken when we entered a place, but I always managed to convince him to come along. I always thought it was because I was the bigger one, that maybe he felt safer with me, even if the places we visited made for him uneasy. I wish more than anything that I had never convinced him to come with me that night. I wish I had just gone alone. But then again, maybe if I had, I wouldn't have made it out at all. That night, the air felt different from the start, colder, more oppressive. Bruce didn't say much during the walk, just a few murmurs now and then as we made our way to the outskirts of town. We were heading toward an old motel, one that had been abandoned for years. I knew the place by reputation, locally whispered about it, but no one really dared to go near. We had talked about exploring it for a while, and despite Bruce's hesitation, he agreed to come. I thought it would be just another ghost town of a building to explore, another one for the list. It took us about an hour to reach the motel, and when we got there, it was as unsettling as we had imagined, and more. The motel was a grim, two-story structure, worn down and battered by time. The office stood at the front, deserted with stairs leading up to the second floor. The rooms were perfectly symmetrical, each one identical to the next. The parking lot was illuminated by a flickering neon, no vacancy sign. It buzzed like it was trying to scream, casting long shadows that seemed to stretch unnaturally across the ground. "Ready?" I asked Bruce, trying to sound calm. He hesitated before responding, his voice tight. "I don't like models. Let's just get this over with." We separated to cover different sides of the building, trying doors, peering through windows. Nothing opened. Every door was either locked or damaged beyond repair. But as we made our way around the back, I spotted something strange, a door that seemed untouched. It was pristine compared to the others, bright white with a shiny brass knocker It almost seemed like it didn't belong to the same place. But the smell, it hit us both at the same time. It was the most revolting odor I have ever encountered, a mixture of spoiled meat, mold, and iron that burned my nostrils. It was a stench so overwhelming that it made my stomach stir, but I couldn't turn away. I have never been able to explain why, but something about that door called to me. Maybe it was the fact that it was so well preserved while everything else around it had decayed. Maybe I was foolishly curious. Maybe I just wanted to prove something. Bruce didn't want to enter. I could see the unease in his eyes, the way his hand trembled as he gripped the door frame, unwilling to cross that threshold. But I pushed forward, not thinking about the consequences. I entered the room, the door creaking closed behind me with a sound that made my blood run cold. The room itself was strange. It looked too clean. The bed was perfectly made, the carpet untouched, the dresser and TV as tough they would just been placed there. No dust, no grime, nothing out of place. But the smell, that putrid, choking stench, still lingered heavy in the air. I remember standing there, confused. Something wasn't right. My eyes naturally turned toward the bathroom door, and for a moment I almost expected to see nothing, just another empty, clean bathroom. But that wasn't the case. I have never forgot opening the door. Inside, the walls were coated in blood, not just any blood, but thick, solidifying pools that spread across the surfaces like someone had painted the walls with it. The crimson liquid dripped down in slow, pooling on the floor in corners. It was as if the room had been designed to be the tiny floors scene of some creepy artwork. But the worst part, the thing that burned itself into my memory, was that bathtub. In it, floating like something from a nightmare, was a bloated, swollen mass. It was flesh, but not human flesh. Not entirely. It was wrong in a way I couldn't understand. The surface was slick, shining with moisture, and it moved. It twitched and jerked in the water, making revolting wet noises. I have turned and run. I should have, but instead I stood there, paralyzed, staring at it. And then it groaned. It was a low, wet sound like something alive, something terrible waking up. That sound broke me out of my trance, and I ran. I ran like I have never ran before, not caring if I made noise or if anyone heard me. But the door, I don't know what was wrong with it, but it wouldn't open. I yanked at the knob, slamming my shoulder against it, but it wouldn't budge. I was trapped, my heart pounded in my chest as I turned around, my eyes locking onto the thing in the tub. It was moving slowly, crawling towards me. It had hands, hands that weren't human like, that were disturbing and wrong. The skin was loose, like it didn't belong, and the eyes. There were too many eyes. They were watching me, and I knew that it was coming for me. I screamed for Bruce, but no words came out. Panic clawed at my throat. I thought I was going to die right there, in that horrible blood soaked room. And then, like some kind of divine intervention, I heard a sound, metal on wood, a sharp crack. He had found something, some sort of pipe, we can say, and he was using it to break the door open. He didn't stop until there was a hole big enough to pull me through. We didn't speak as we stumbled away from the room. I was too shaken to even look at him, and he didn't say a word either. We just moved. We pushed an older dresser in front of the door, blocking it, but I knew it wasn't enough. I knew that whatever was in that room could get out, and I wasn't safe. The walk back was a blur. The silence was unbearable. My mind couldn't process what had just happened, and every step felt like a countdown, like I was being haunted. I don't remember driving Bruce home or walking back to my own place. Everything's a blur, and the only thing I know for sure is that I never want to be in that motel room again. I didn't sleep anymore. When I close my eyes, it's still there in my mind. That thing, that horrible thing. I don't know what it was or why it was there, but I am not sure I want to. All I know is that I will never forget it. Bruce and I didn't talk anymore for a long period of time. I don't know if he ever understood what happened, but I can't bring myself to tell him what I saw. We have both moved on, but neither of us will be the same. I don't know what I am supposed to do now. I have been drinking more than I should, trying to forget, trying to make the images go away, but I know they won't. They will follow me for the rest of my life. I have to go to the store now. Maybe getting some air will help, but I don't know if anything will. I am not sure there's anything that can help. Good night.